Hello, my Bill 5000 Nation. How's everyone doing today? Hopefully everyone's having a great day. If not, I hope it gets better from here. We are back with another That Chapter. This one's titled, Family of Killers Take Revenge on Ex-Husband, the Westfall Family. Westfall family. I hope I'm saying that right. I think I'm saying that right. I'm excited for today's video. If you guys are excited as I am, go ahead, turn them lights down low, put on something comfy, cup with something special. Let's get concerned. I'm very concerned.
Hey you, and welcome. My name is Mike, and in this old video, we are going to Texas, where else for bizarre cases, to the small community of Colmsneil, or I think they pronounce it differently. See, the reason we are going there is that one day, a couple were attending church, having a pray and having a visitation. And as they walked out into the parking lot on a blustery winter's day, there would be a click, there would be a bang, and sirens would ring out in this place of worship. Senseless, but revenge usually is. Please subscribe to see new videos every week. Now, you want to give it a go? Let's. Oh, yeah. Colmsneil or Colmsneil, which I don't know, folks, it just seems wrong to me to say it like that. It's a small town in Texas, and when I say small, I mean like itty bitty. Only about 550 people live there, if you can believe that.
Really? That's crazy.
It's the town where everybody knows your name, though that keeps on coming up, so I don't really want anybody to know my name, because it's always small towns where you're gonna die.
Yeah.
If it's a That Chapter story.
Yeah.
If you were to look for it on a map, you'd have to squint real hard and look northeast of Houston. It's a blink and you miss it kind of place. But hey, salt of the earth and other buzzwords for how country people are really nice and not murderous at all. On the outskirts of a town that is entirely outskirts, lies Mount Carmel Baptist Church. And on January 18th, 2014, a man called Nathan Maddox and his wife Krystal were among the attendees. There that Saturday morning with Nathan's 5-year-old daughter, Madison. But it wasn't for no service, it was visitation. Madison was Nathan's daughter from a previous relationship. Her mother was Kristen Westfall. As they walked out of the church that day, a number of shots would ring out in the most horrifying fashion. And then, when a group of people were questioned about some kind of conspiracy, they would have this to say.
Nathan was like a brother to me.
I'd have went out. I would have went out and stopped. I didn't shoot Nathan.
Hell no.
An empty church on a Sunday.
It's very out of the norm for our small county.
Barricaded.
So, what you're telling me is that this dude was at church with his new old lady, visiting his kid, and his ex-old lady, the mother of his children, her family, killed them? Oh my God, that child's never going to believe in Jesus again. What kind of, don't do shit like that at church. Why?
By crime tape.
Pretty scary. Pretty scary.
A small community stunned.
Shocking to me that anybody would do such a thing at a church.
35-year-old Nathan Maddox and his wife, 31-year-old Krystal Maddox from...
Like strip club, you can see, porn store, you can see, most places, but a church? Bro, no. It's where you go to feel safe and warm and fuzzy and be judged by something bigger than you, not be killed. It's awful.
Zavala, gunned down outside church doors.
There's a reason for everything, sort of. What was the reason for this?
There was no I don't give a fuck.
Nathan and Krystal had been married about 1 year in early 2014. Nathan, 35, worked at Lufkin Industries. If you need measuring tape, they got you back. While Krystal, 30, was the owner and operator of All That Sparkles and Shabby Chic a Peak Boutique.
Not even gonna lie, the Lufkin I've had it. My grandpa got for me whenever I was little. I love. But either way, he got for me when I was like, I still have it to this day. It's still got my name written on the back of it because he engraved my name on it and everything else and address and shit. Because that's what you want. But yeah, I love it. It's never felt on me. I still use it to this day. Like it's my go-to tape measure. I keep it very safe.
What a name! Why did she pick that? And she also ran Krystal Maddox Photography while being extremely active in local beauty pageants. And they were happy as a pig in shit. Nathan, he had a daughter from a previous relationship, while Krystal, she had 4 kids from a previous relationship. So they were kind of like one of them big old blended families.
The Brady Bunch.
Krystal was so dedicated to her children. She filmed them all the time, made plays for them.
Yours, mine, and ours.
Very good mother, very creative. I mean, that was Krystal. Growing up, she was a handful. And while her mother was encouraging her to go to college, you know, get one of them educations I keep hearing so much about, Krystal was like, no. The only thing she was interested in was being a mother. That was the only life she ever envisioned for herself. Fair play to you. Only a few months out of high school, she married her sweetheart, had a child. Then, after the birth of her first, 3 months later, she was pregnant again. In 2009, Krystal and her husband, they went their separate ways, so Krystal packed up her
See, that is probably a thing. Too young, right out, no life experience, kids back to back like that. It's always no bueno whenever, like, I'm not saying it always is, always, like, no. I will never say always. But more often than not, those ones fail horribly. And if you're one of those people who's made it, man, my hat is off to you. Yeah.
4 kids, and she moved to Lufkin, Texas to start fresh. She got involved in the local scenes, you know, the pageantry, she did the hair, the makeup, the costumes, all that sort of thing. And it was one night in 2011 that she bumped into old school friend Nathan Maddox. Wow, look at you. They started going out and he loved her kids. I mean, that was obviously a huge deal breaker for Krystal. You don't want, like, you're not gonna like my kids, you can, you know. But no, he stepped right in. It was like he's the dad who'd always been there. He wanted to be there. And
hell yeah.
Things were good. Nathan had in fact just divorced his wife of 5 years, Kristen, and they had a daughter together, Maddie.
You don't see that very often, let alone, you don't see very often guys stepping up to be the father of their own kids, let alone father of someone else's. I commend that. 100%, 100%.
Back in the day, he had to work in Montana and was sending money back to Texas, and he had thought things were good between him and his first wife. But not so, unbeknownst to him. One day, he'd come home to find the house empty and a letter of abandonment there saying, listen, Nathan, you gone off God knows where, don't know when you'll be back, even though I know where you've gone and when you'll be back. Kristen makes no sense. And she refused to let him see his daughter. She ended their entire marriage with a text, writing, there really is nothing left between us. We both have changed, and we both miss the person who we married. Too much has happened, and I don't see the person in you anymore. I can't remember how it felt to be happy. Yikes.
Wow.
It was devastating for Nathan not to see his daughter, Maddie Madison. And so, you know, he had to see, so began his quest to get her back. A quest that would go on for many a year. The abandonment order now was eventually lifted and he could see his daughter. And Maddie still lived with Kristen and her parents, Paul and Letha Westfall, along with Kristen's younger brother, Cameron. They had to organize visitations and all that. But Paul and Letha, by the way, the grandparents, they weren't exactly too chuffed to see Maddie go spend time with Nathan and Nathan's new belle, Krystal. See, Maddie loved dresses, and she loved makeup and all that sort of stuff, so Krystal, who was heavily involved in pageantry, well, didn't they just get on just swell? And so sprouted the seeds of jealousy. In June 2012, Kristen filed for full custody, and more battles began. Battles that only got more intense when Nathan and Krystal married. So while they were settling down, having a family, and trying to see Nathan's daughter, Kristen was going the opposite of settling down. She was a real wild card. In August 2013, Kristen was arrested for possession of meth, which was not her first arrest for possession of devil's ice ever. So she was kind of like, then guess what? Paul and Letha, the evil grandparents, they got custody of Maddie. They refused to let Nathan or Krystal see her. Krystal once went to confront them about this and recorded it for...
So just keep him there with a fucking druggie? Oh my god, I can't, okay, look, I know I get really pissy whenever we start bringing in like drug usages and stuff. Look, that's my prerogative. I don't care. I don't like it. It ruins families, man. Kids do not need to be around shit like that, and I have no respect or tolerance for anyone who does shit like that around children. I do not, and I will never. Some people, I swear, just need just bitch slap them real good. Just bitch slap the shit out of them. Some people in this world just need a good old bitch slapping, bro. I'm telling you.
Proof.
Nathan gets visits from 6 to 8 on Thursday. He also gets this Thanksgiving.
We have a lawyer.
Right. Y'all have told someone that we have an injunction saying we can't have visits, but I talked to my lawyer on the way out here, and that's not true. He told me come out and get our visit. I have the papers right here.
That ain't worth the papers wrote on. We just got it overrode. Last week, was y'all at court?
Nathan and Krystal were doing everything they could to raise money for this custody battle. I'm talking selling all their shite, you working extra
And we part of the country mafia out here. Look, I was raised in the country, bro, and I couldn't stand people like that whenever I lived out there. I bitch slap someone. I ain't fucking playing, bro. I don't deal with that bullshit.
shifts, doing everything they could to raise a bit of commotion. They were just so desperate to see her, while the Westfalls, more like shite falls. However, eventually they raised enough money. They went through the entire legal process, and guess what? They got visitation rights. The visitations would take place in a church. Mount Carmel Church. And then this 911 call came in.
Charlie County 911. What's going on? What's going on? You heard shots? What's the door, please?
At around 12:25, the 18th of January.
I'm sorry to laugh. I know that was probably really, really terrifying for her, but just to hear how she was talking, I love country accents. Ladies don't. It made me giggle. I'm sorry. You just need to get somebody out here now.
January 2014.
Bless their hearts.
There had been a shooting right outside the church, and when police arrived, they found both Nathan and Krystal shot to death. Both had execution-style shots to the head. They had been shot dead right outside the door. 4-year-old Maddie had, thankfully, been inside the church when this happened and hadn't seen anything at all. The 911 caller was Letha, which is kind of odd with everything going on. See, in the church had been Letha and a person from child services there to witness the visitation and make sure it all went swimmingly. In fact, it was the child services person who spoke mostly to the police, because Letha was too hysterical to talk. She couldn't bear it.
The person that's been shot, are they in the church? No. No, where are they at? They're out front. Okay, can you tell me what you saw? I just saw a lady lying down on the ground. That's all I could see. All right, so was she the only one outside? No, her husband was outside with her. Okay, who's her husband? Nathan Maddox. I think he may be the victim also. She was just not sure. Look at me. Okay, who's that in there with you?
Like, her actual name is Letha? Letha? Like Lisa? But Letha? Man, I thought Mike was just saying that fucking weird. That's a stupid name. Sorry if anyone out there's name is Letha. I'm not sorry. I'm actually not sorry.
Letha, Westfall,
that's stupid.
And a 4-year-old baby girl.
Nathan and Krystal had been murdered during a supervised visit. Neither who had been inside, Letha or the social worker, saw the shooter. Once hearing the gunshots, they locked the door and called the cops. It was very apparent that this had been a targeted killing from the start. Nothing was stolen. There were no signs of any kind of struggle neither. A .30-30 shell casing was found at the scene, so they knew the weapon used in the killing and what to keep an eye out for, though it was a pretty common rifle.
Someone shot 34-year-old Nathan Maddox and his wife, 30-year-old Krystal. Investigators have questioned what they call persons of interest, but no one is in custody.
Now, interestingly, the police would later learn that Nathan had been shot in the chest with a shotgun. So there was 2 guns used which likely means there was 2 shooters involved in this ambush.
Father and
The
son, maybe?
Westfalls, the ones who weren't at the church, were contacted. Paul, Kristen, and young Cameron. Paul had a seizure. He was so shocked when he heard what had happened. He had to go to hospital. His dearly beloved ex-son-in-law. Kristen was interviewed first, and she was open and honest about their struggle, the shitfest between them.
Yes, me and Nathan have had this issue with his substance abuse. We've had our disagreements, but the fact remains that I was married or with him for 8 years. Of course, I still have love in my heart for Nathan.
Can you think of anybody that would want to hurt Nathan?
Now, there's a lot of rumors going around. The motorcycle gang drove up at his mom's house, and he was scared to death, and they told him that if he ever told about something that happened, they'd kill him.
But she said, ooh, his past, back in Montana. I heard, rumor has it, that he was involved in something shady back there. Don't ask me what, but you know, gangs or, whatever they have in Montana. Now, Kristen's alibi was that her and her father, Paul, had driven to a store a few miles away, busy morning. And so, when the shooting happened at 12:30, they were a long way away and had only gotten home. I know you're looking at me, but stop looking. Paul, too, was questioned. He had the same story as his daughter, and a gunshot residue test was done. Of course, heard this story before. Angry Paul gets a rifle, but the test results came back inconclusive. Now, despite alibis, despite the fact that Letha was at the scene, though she definitely wasn't involved in the actual shooting, there was also a social worker there. And then, of course, Paul had a seizure, which is kind of funny. It's kind of like a bit of an overreaction upon hearing somebody you really hate has been shot dead. It's kind of funny. You'd think he'd be jumping for joy upon hearing that the custody battles were over. Maybe it was one of them happy little seizures. Despite all of that, though, people were convinced the Westfalls,
like 8 crazy nights. This is the happiest.
Were involved. The only people who could be. In fact, police were so sure they had Child Protective Services go over and just, snoop around. They stepped in and removed Maddie from the home on the basis that the shooters were unidentified and it was too dangerous to leave her with the maybe killers. This then began, shocker, another court battle. Who has the time for these court battles? They're like a rabid dog. And
right.
So CPS actually went to the Westfall home and they were like, you're not getting her back. A, you could be the killers. B, they found a gun easily accessible. C, there was sewage, literal shit, in their yard. And the other letter, they found meth in their home. Actual meth. Apparently, Letha was using the meth to control her daughter, Kristen. If Kristen was like, hey, I'm moving out of here and I'm taking my daughter away from you, guess what? Letha would say, no, you're not leaving. You're not taking our granddaughter away. Look at this little baggie of meth. Guess what I'll take to the cops, because you've been arrested for possession before, and I'll do it to you again.
Fuck.
More than a month after Krystal and Nathan Maddox were shot and killed outside a church.
Something of this nature, I take that personally.
The Tyler County Sheriff, for the first time, is naming a suspect in the killings.
There are other suspects, we're not prepared to release those names at this time, but yes, Miss Westfall she's been identified as a suspect.
54-year-old Letha Westfall is Nathan Maddox's former mother-in-law. Last night, officers arrested her on an unrelated charge, felony possession of a controlled substance by fraud.
It was 1 month after the murders that a friend of the Westfalls, Christopher Eves, stepped into the sheriff's office, asking to speak with him.
Every time I would go over there, the father was always saying that the daddy tried to come take the baby, he's going to shoot him, kill him. That's all they kept talking about. They tried to come take that baby, I'm killing him. We're going to have somebody kill him.
Turns out that the Westfalls had been planning the murder of Nathan and Krystal Maddox for a long-ass time. They probably figured it was way freaking cheaper than going through these custody battles which would never end, and they would not, repeat not, allow Maddie to spend 1 second with the Maddoxes. This is a story of true hatred and jealousy. Because I'm sure Madison just loved hanging out in the house that had literal shit in the yard. So with all of this, the police got indictments for the entire Westfall family. Paul, Letha, Kristen, and Cameron.
Letha Westfall, Paul Westfall, Kristen Westfall, and Cameron Westfall were all indicted for engaging in organized criminal activity. The couple was shot and killed January 18th while leaving Mount Carmel Baptist Church near Coleman's Neal following a court-ordered child custody visit with Nathan Maddox's 5-year-old daughter. An attorney who represented Nathan in the child custody case said this visit would have likely been the last supervised visit. Deaton expected Nathan to get full custody of his daughter from the maternal grandparents not long after. CPS gained custody following the shootings. The 5-year-old is Nathan's only child. His wife, Krystal, had 4 children.
All 4 were arrested by police. Paul, he had a seizure during his arrest.
What happened to her poor kids? You know what I mean? This is all so fucked.
You love them. Cameron Westfall was interviewed first.
Now, have you ever heard Paul or Luther or Krystal talk about murdering Nathan?
No, sir. Nathan was like a brother.
He was shocked. My family murdering some people we've had a long-standing grudge against that will actually end up saving us a load of money, the people we hate. Us? Doing something like that? You sound like a crazy person. Next was Kristen's turn.
I wouldn't feel for him to not see thought.
Same story. In fact, Kristen would say, you know what? Now that he's dead, I actually kind of liked him. Kind of a bummer that he's gone, actually. Oh well.
I literally have not had a conversation with somebody saying, will you murder Krystal Maddox?
Letha denied the entire thing about asking someone to kill Nathan, and Paul, after being released from hospital, maintained his innocence.
Were you responsible for the shooting of Nathan Maddox? No, sir.
He maintained his innocence for a bit because the police, as I said, they were full sure that one of them was involved, and because they had 4 people arrested, you just need one link in the chain to crack, and then you get the whole thing. Paul's little break in the chain was his children. Actually, his child. Not Kristen, Cameron. 3 hours after he first spoke to police, he requested another opportunity. And this time, Paul said he had done it.
Well, I had it done when I killed Nathan.
So you're telling me that you killed Nathan and his wife? And who helped you? I want the whole truth.
Take care of my son.
I want the whole truth.
Now your first thought, you got Big Pappy, right? Stepping in here, a whole family's gonna go down. He's the man of the house. He's gonna do the honorable thing. He'll take the fall. He'll take the blame-o, right? Save his wife and kids. You know,
that's what he should do,
not
yes.
Really, actually. Seems, as I said, it seems like he was very protective over his kids, but specifically Cameron. Because Paul came in and he was like, all right, I shot him dead. And I know you know I wasn't alone. There was another person with me who was also the shooter, because remember, 2 guns were used. The other shooter was Kristen, actually. It was my daughter.
Who's we? You and Kristen?
Yeah. Just, under the bus you go. When Letha was confronted with Paul's confession, she said she had heard him shouting outside the church that day.
Now, did Paul ever say anything to you about killing Nathan?
He'd say, I should just kill him and be done with it. I didn't take Paul serious because I would have never thought that Derek Kristen would have ever been capable of doing something like that.
Now they're starting to come apart.
I'd have went out. I would have went out and stopped.
Can you hear that? That's bullshit.
Well, I hear what you're saying, but some of it I know is not true.
I mean, if you can tell me anything that's not,
I just give you something to think about, because the motive, the time color, the alibis, all of that goes on.
I mean, I don't know if y'all went to the store. I mean, you told me last time we were in there, we checked
I'm
out.
just saying, some of the things you're saying are not true.
I didn't shoot Nathan.
Kristen, though, was denying she had been involved. No, I would never shoot him. Even though her own father was saying she had been involved. I mean, he didn't so much as throw her under the bus. He was the one driving the bus.
In the planning of all this, did they ever get together at home and sit down and make notes or draw diagrams or?
They never once ever made notes for the pure fact or diagrams. For the pure fact that my sister said it was best not to have anything on paper. Have a paper trail is what she called it.
Cameron then confessed that he had disposed of the murder weapons after Paul had asked him to. Why he would ask him to do that, his favorite child, ask him to dispose of murder weapons when you're just involving him in the crime. Can I shock you? He's a shit person. I'm sure Paul had another seizure when he was confronted about that. See, at 9:40 a.m., Letha, who was there in the church, at the Mount Carmel church, at the visitation. This was to be the last supervised visit Nathan and Krystal were to have with Maddie. Next time, the Westfalls wouldn't need to be there. During that meeting, Letha texted Kristen, "They are here." 2 hours later, she texted, "Get in place." Group effort. All the Westfalls were involved. As Nathan and Krystal walked out of the church, they were executed. Krystal walked out first. As she did, she was shot in the head. Died instantly. Nathan then ran after her and he was shot. As he lay on the ground, whoever was wielding the shotgun executed him. This plan had been on the cards for months. They had in fact asked other people to do it, as the person Christopher Eves, who blew this whole thing up, he had been asked. Everybody had refused, so they said, "Fine, we'll do it the Westfall way. We'll do it ourselves."
Man, this is one fucked up
Cameron
family,
Westfall
bro.
was offered a deal, charged with 2 counts of tampering with evidence if he cooperated and testified against his own family. And testify he did. For that, he would get 10 years. Letha took a plea bargain also. She pleaded guilty to engaging in an organised criminal act. She got life with parole after 30 years, which for her, this old bitch, that's a death sentence.
Hell yeah.
Paul was due to go on trial, then he was declared incompetent to stand trial, then competent to stand trial, then he pleaded guilty. He was zigging and zagging.
Would you like to say anything, Mr. Westfall? Yeah, I will stay here, but not like this.
Life with the possibility of parole for that lad. Once again, a death sentence. And finally, Kristen,
Good.
she was... Nope. Not me. Didn't have anything to do, which is like the gonads on her when her 3 members of her own family were all taking plea deals. All would testify against her, and she was like, liars. She went on trial in August 2016. The motive was simply custody. Nathan was on the up, the Westfalls were on the falls. And so Nathan might end up getting full custody.
Yeah.
Can't have that. Shockingly, she was found guilty. She was given the sentence of life without the possibility of parole. And so ends the story of the Maddoxes and the Westfall family. A story of greed, a story of jealousy, a story of pure shite. It's really a story of hatred.
I'm
and
glad
of
they're all
fearing,
put in prison.
Losing something so much, you will kill out of that fear, which will then just cause you to lose everything. It's like one of them self-fulfilling prophecies or something. Only instead of like a chosen one. Just shite. Big load of shite.
I mean, kids probably better off with their dad anyways, man. Like, guns everywhere. Like, I'm not downing guns by any means, but be safe, be smart about it. You know what I mean? You got kids in the house. Use some fucking common sense. You know what I mean? Especially little ones like that. Older ones, you can just knock the fuck out. And little ones, no. That sweet little girl. And then, just shit. Why is your shit out in your yard, bro? Don't shit where your kids play. That's fucked up. And what happened to the Nathan's old lady, Krystal? What happened to her 4 kids? Who's got them? Is the dad okay? Like, you know, is he a good person or is he a big old piece of shit? Like, I hate to hear it. This was a heartbreaking story. I'm glad they're all in prison getting it into booty for a while. And most of them forever. I really enjoyed today's story. If y'all enjoyed today's story as much as I did, please go down there and leave a thumbs up. While you're down there going over, slap that subscribe button. Become part of the Built 5000 Nation. We do some crazy shit here, bro. If you want to know when that crazy shit happens, ding that bell. It might work for you. It might not. If it does, jump in on one of my premieres, go over on the live chat and be like, what up, bruh? It worked. Leave a like and dip. I'd never ask you to do anything more than I would do. And I wouldn't do a lot. As always, be good to one another. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye. I know exactly what has saved those 2 fools' life. Some Built 5000 merch. Can't get shot in the head through Built 5000 merch. Or through the chest with some Built 5000 merch. That's a lie. Don't put it on and try to get shot. Don't do it. For the love of fucking God, don't do it. I just, no.